Hi, my name is Jeremy Brunansky, and you're about to watch a brand new episode of Brunansky's Vlog. This is a weekly show that drops every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on YouTube. In this show, we cover movie news, movie reviews, and a little bit more. If this is your first time with us, consider clicking that subscribe button. For everybody who's returning, thank you so much. And as always, if you enjoy any portion of this show, give me that thumbs up button. Let's go ahead and cut now to this week's episode. Good morning. It's Monday morning. It's 10 a.m. PST, and that means it's time for another episode of Brunansky's Vlog. This is episode 22. This week, we got a lot of great news stories to cover, plus we've got Star Wars The Last Jedi spoiler review. Spoiler-filled review. Also, we got a special Certified Rad segment. We take a look at what's arriving on DVD and Blu-ray this week. Also, what movies are dropping at your local movie theaters for you guys to check out over the Christmas holiday weekend. Up front, at the top of the show, I did want to mention that episode 22 is the season finale for season 1 of Brunansky's Vlog here on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for joining me for 22 episodes. We've had a lot of fun here talking movie news, reviews, and more with you. All right, I don't want to take up any more time on this introduction. You're watching Brunansky's Vlog. This is episode 22, the season 1 finale here on YouTube. Now let's go ahead and roll to this week's news. In the news, Chad Stahelski, director of the action film John Wick, will be adapting the Killer Be Killed comic book series for the big screen. Link for the Hollywood Reporter article in the show notes below. So this is actually a comic book series that I'm familiar with. I've actually been reading it. It's really well written. The art in it is really fantastic. If you're a fan of Brubaker's writing style, you will not be disappointed. This just falls kind of right in line with everything that you're probably familiar with and you already enjoy as far as his storytelling goes. Basically, if you're unfamiliar with the story, it's this college kid who tries to commit suicide, but his life is spared. It's spared by a demon, and the demon says that you can live, but you can only live 1 month at a time. And in order to live 1 month at a time, you have to kill somebody within that month. Otherwise, you're donezo. So he basically just goes around finding terrible people who do terrible things, and then he just kills one a month. Eventually, the bad guys pick up to like what's going on, and also there's a detective that kind of picks up on the profile of things, and then they kind of point their attention towards this character, and then it all kind of goes from there. But it's definitely a great series. I have my collection on eBay right now for sale. If you want to check that out, feel free. It's definitely well written. The art in it is fantastic. I'm not surprised at all that Stahelski actually picked this story up and is running with this, because the John Wick films are both very dark, gritty, and they have a lot of gratuitous violence in them that plays really well in that world that they've built in these films. So to have that sensibility be brought to this story for the big screen, I think is just going to be a grand slam, because the story is already so well written. It makes perfect sense that you would adapt it for the big screen, and you would have this guy who already did a great job with John Wick and John Wick 2 kind of lead the charge to get this film made. MGM has scheduled the new Addams Family animated film to be released in October of 2019. Oscar Isaac is in talks to voice the lead, Gomez Addams. I actually like this news, mostly because it's Addams Family, and animated Addams Family kind of feels more appropriate for that bizarre and strange world that that family lives in. So to find out that they're making an animated version of this, I think is just going to take it to a place that it deserves to go, because with animation, you can really create this bizarre and dark, but still humorous and still kind of relatable because of the relationships that they have with each other, world that can exist in a way that probably can't exist or would be very difficult and challenging to create on the big screen in live action. And to see that Oscar Isaac is like, yeah, I'll come in and do some voice work for Gomez Addams, I think is a pretty cool idea. I don't think it's gonna be like shocking or just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that that's the way they're going. Like, who knew? Like, let's get this guy awards, all the awards for his voice work. I don't think it's gonna be anything like that, but I think the way he carries himself as an actor, I think his delivery will feel appropriate for the character of Gomez Addams. And I'm actually pretty excited to kind of see more and to hear more about who they're casting to do the voice work, and maybe hear and read a little bit more about what the plot's going to be so we can talk about it here. I think that this could be something special that might surprise people when it actually hits. Sound off below in the comments with your thoughts. The Screen Actors Guild have released their nominations for 2018. This includes film and television. So if you remember back from Facebook Live, we kind of covered how everything kind of works out for the Academy Awards. It was during the conversation we had between the Golden Globes and the Academy Awards, and kind of how both of those are awards ceremonies, but one I personally feel is greater than the other because of how the voting is done. The Screen Actors Guild Awards, it is a good barometer for us as movie fans to actually say, like, okay, if these guys are getting voted in and these girls are getting voted in for their respective roles, that's a pretty good indicator that we may see these names again when the voting actually takes place for the awards show next year. So if you want to see like the full complete list, I've thrown the link in the show notes below. So go ahead and check that out, because it's available for you. You can just kind of cruise through everything. It's film and television. But a couple that I just wanted to talk about real quick. Who is nominated for Best Lead Male and Female in their roles? So for the actors, we have Timothée Chalamet for Call Me By Your Name, James Franco for The Disaster Artist, Daniel Kaluuya for Get Out, Gary Oldman for The Darkest Hour, Denzel Washington for Roman J. Israel Esquire. For the actresses, we have Judi Dench for Victoria and Abdul, Sally Hawkins for Shape of Water, Frances McDormand for 3 Billboards, Margot Robbie for I, Tonya, and Saoirse Ronan for Lady Bird. So most of these films I have seen and reviewed, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw right up here on the page a card for the movie review playlist. You guys can go back and watch those reviews for those films that I've already done. They're available in their own separate playlist for you guys to check out, and I'll go ahead and just throw that up right now for you. But surprisingly, one of the films, at the time I'm recording this, I still haven't seen Phantom Thread with Daniel Day-Lewis, and I'm surprised that Daniel Day-Lewis was not on this listing. Like, completely caught me off guard. Now, that's not to take anything away from the people who are on this list, because those people get the screeners, right? They've seen the films in advance. They get to vote on their peers to say, like, we feel this person did the best in their category. So maybe since I haven't seen Phantom Thread, it's not going to be as spectacular as I'm assuming it will be, but I really have a hard time believing that. So I'm excited to see it, and after I see it, I'll be curious on how my feelings about this list may or may not change. But I think for sure, as far as acting goes, Denzel Washington did a great job and Roman J. Israel Esquire. While the movie wasn't written like consistently well, it gets a little muddled here and there, I thought his performance from beginning to end was spectacular, and I'm not surprised to see his name on this list at all. Also, Judi Dench in Victoria and Abdul, I really liked her in that. Frances McDormand in 3 Billboards was incredibly well done and super believable. And from what I'm hearing, Margot Robbie in I, Tonya is great, and Sally Hawkins is just absolutely brilliant in Shape of Water, which I'm very excited to see before the year ends. So I'm not surprised to see her name on there, and I doubt as far as the actresses go, my list will really change that much. But for the guys, I'm curious to find out like how I feel once I see Phantom Thread, and I can actually like put Daniel Day-Lewis's performance up on the board against what this list is recommending. Sound off below with your thoughts. If you have a different opinion or if you agree, just share why in the comments below. Seth Rogen is teaming up with David Gordon Green for the new film Newsflash, which covers Walter Cronkite and the JFK assassination in November of 1963. So I know, like, for a lot of people, this news is probably pretty surprising. I know I was surprised when this headline popped up. I was like, really? Seth Rogen is going to be a dramatic character in a film? However, it doesn't really surprise me that much when I think about it, because he's been doing movies for a while. And at some point, you got to switch it up and you got to keep things fresh and you got to keep your inspiration as a creative person. So it's not really surprising for me when I look at it that way, because I'm like, yeah, he probably is tired of playing the same comedic roles. I know that when people think about him, obviously they go to like Pineapple Express or Knocked Up. Those are funny movies. For me personally, I always go to the TV show The League, and his performance is Dirty Randy. Like, that's just, every time I hear Seth Rogen, I'm like, oh, The League, Dirty Randy, because his on-screen chemistry with those actors was just so fantastic and fun. Like, that's where my head goes every time. So to see Dirty Randy kind of like taking on this new role to be like a dramatic, well-known, and very famous newsman here in America. I can't wait to actually see more about this and to see the transformation that he's gonna go through as an actor. Because this is gonna be like nothing, I guarantee you, this will be like nothing we've ever seen from him before. Kudos to Seth Rogen for jumping feet first into this to take on this challenging role and to really just expand and build out his talent to try and become something that we've never seen on the big screen. Honorable mentions this week include Bright and Annihilation released new trailers. Ocean's 8 and Deadpool 2 released new movie posters. The National Film Registry added several new films to their listing, including Die Hard and Richard Donner's Superman. Guillermo del Toro is set to direct a Nightmare Alley remake. All right, and that concludes the news for this episode, as well as for 2017. I hope you guys enjoyed watching these videos and engaging with me through the comments section, as well as other social media, as we've been building out this channel and building out the fan and movie fan community here on YouTube. So thank you guys so much. We will be back next year at 2018 to talk more movie news, reviews, and more with you. If something popped off that you're excited about or you have questions about, throw it in the comments below, because as I've said since episode 1, there's so much news that drops all week long, it's impossible to get to everything in one show. So just sound off below in the comments with what you thought was hot in the news, and we can keep that conversation going all week long. All right, for one last time, thank you so much for watching these new segments on Brunansky's vlog. Let's go ahead now and roll to that movie review segment. The Resistance is scattered. The Jedi are all but extinct. The First Order is the dominating presence in the galaxy. And the Skywalker family is front and center in this story, which is the 8th of 9 films in this continued saga. Does Star Wars The Last Jedi actually deliver on a story that's familiar but fresh? Or are we going to need to blast this film like Alderaan? Let's dive in and take a look in this review. So in general, unfortunately, this film wasn't really paced that well. The story at the very beginning is sprinting to tell us who the major players are in this movie and what their roles will be. Then it slows down quite a bit once we actually get to the island with Rey and Luke. There's also the hacking sequence, which takes place that involves Finn and Poe and a newly introduced Rose. And they actually have to travel to a distant planet across the galaxy to find a hacker that was recommended by Maz Kanata. And that distant planet that they find that has a casino on it, that entire segment of the film actually felt like it was just straight up ripped right out of Fifth Element. This movie is a lot of plot building, but it's also kind of not plot building, because when the movie ends, it doesn't end like a typical movie would. That's part 2 of a 3-part series. And it feels like that is literally the ending. And now we're gonna have like a separate trilogy that's going to spin off of the ending of just this particular film. Another curious thing is this film actually lets us know that Leia knows how to use the Force more than just her ability to kind of sense and communicate with Luke across the galaxy, but they don't really go into the why she knows how to do this. It's just kind of assumed because she's kind of had that ability to communicate in other movies. Speaking of Leia, one of the absolute worst scenes in this movie involves Leia and her death, or lack thereof. In real life, Carrie Fisher did actually die, and many people wondered, rightly so they wondered, but many people wondered, how is that death going to impact the story, and will we actually see her character get killed off in this film? At the very beginning of this movie, the bridge of the ship that she's commanding is blown apart, and she is sent into the void and vacuum of deep space. So as I was sitting in the theater with this giant smile on my face, because that answered the big question that I had, and I'm sure you had, which is, which one of the big 5 that are still remaining from the original trilogy is going to die in this film? They answered it. They answered it right at the very beginning of the movie, so we didn't have to sit there the whole movie going, well, who's it gonna be? But then it backtracks in a very peculiar way, and we find out that Leia didn't die because, well, the Force. Luke's return was fantastic. I really appreciated how they brought him back into this story. However, there was a lot of screen time that was actually wasted on his character, which surprised me. In all honesty, I really don't need to see Luke spearfishing on this secluded island. Let's get on with the story. Move the plot forward, please. However, despite some of those weird sequences that I felt were kind of unnecessary to the overall story about his day-to-day life on the island, I will say that his character from introduction to the end of the film, I feel had the most special moments peppered throughout, and I also thought was told the best. Mark Hamill actually delivers on a performance that shows incredible and dynamic emotional range, and because of that, I could not be happier with his performance. So at the end of the film, we actually see Luke just kind of staring off into a sunset, and for me personally, I took that as a sign, as like a metaphor, that this is like the old ways of Luke are over now, and we're going to get this brand new Master Jedi Luke that we haven't really seen because of the conversation that he has with Yoda on the island. And P.S., the conversation he has with Yoda, that entire scene, probably my favorite scene in the entire film. Yoda being brought back was spectacular for me personally, and it actually felt like the Yoda from the original trilogy. But no, not even close. Luke just dies. No muss, no fuss, no cleanup on Isle Jedi. Luke just kind of passes off into the Force. I was literally so mad when that ending hit, I could have at that moment just got up and walked out of the theater and not even waited to see the last few minutes. So Leia gets to live miraculously, but Luke dies watching a sunset? This is ludicrous. Now let's talk about the big bad in this universe, and that is Snoke. Snoke is completely useless. Utterly and entirely useless. This was such a bummer for me in the movies. I was so frustrated with how his character evolves in this film, from being this incredible threat in the galaxy that everyone's afraid of, to him just simply being sliced in half by Kylo Ren with minimal effort. Now, if you'll take a journey back with me to Phantom Menace, Episode 1, Master Yoda says, "Always two there are, no more, no less, a master and an apprentice." And because Snoke is killed in this movie and all we have is Kylo Ren, the rule of two is no longer applied. And I'm not sure if that was deliberate, because throughout the film, Kylo Ren is talking about let the old ways die. And I don't know if he's actually like moving the story forward with that philosophy by no longer having a rule of two, or if that was just a misstep in the writing and they completely just slid over that fact and the importance of that fact for the Sith. Also, one of the biggest highlights for me in this film was the writing, even though I've had a lot of criticisms about the writing. Stay with me. So there's a few films that I've seen that have an altered story structure. Your typical structure is Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. This film, just like Minority Report, the ending is a little bit stretched so that it doesn't feel like it's Act 1, 2, and 3. Instead, it feels like it's Act 1, 2, 3.1, /3.2. It's this type of storytelling where it feels like the movie is about to end, and then there's just a little bit more that's tagged onto that third act to really build out the ending to make it much stronger and more powerful and impacting. And because of that, and the way that the writing actually led to that, even though I had issues with other aspects of the writing, they did this aspect of the story structure very well, and it actually elevated my enjoyment of the film a lot. And even though I absolutely hate the fact that in this movie Luke dies and Leia lives for some reason, the ending, that extra little bump we get, instead of 3, we get 3.1 and 3.2, as I just stated, that extra little bump gives us 2 incredible lightsaber battles, which I was eating up when it was happening on screen. They're both fantastic. The end of the movie, that whole third act, is just action, and it is spectacular. Also, we get to see a couple big starships blow up when, towards the end, one of the giant ships blows up. Both times I saw the movie, it got an audible gasp from the audience. It was that good. Star Wars: The Last Jedi is playing at your local movie theater right now, and I am definitely recommending a big screen viewing for this film. This movie looks fantastic on the big screen, and while this story doesn't actually deliver 100% on the story, it is definitely worth your hard-earned dollars and your time. At the end of the day, Rian Johnson took some big risks with this film, and while I don't really feel like they all paid off, I do like where his vision is headed for this franchise. Again, he took some chances, not all of them worked. I give him credit for stepping outside of the box. There's a couple things I would have liked to see tighten up as far as writing goes for story and plot points, but again, overall, the structure of the story was really good, and the scene with Yoda was fantastic. And overall, I'm still undecided on who has the best single one-liner in this movie. For me, it's between two characters, and I'm really struggling to decide who really made a bigger impact for me as a movie fan and a Star Wars lover. Is it Luke Skywalker when he's talking to Rey, and then later when he's talking talking to Kylo. He has one sentence that he says to both of them, and that sentence was so fantastic in my opinion, I may steal it and start using it in my day-to-day conversations. I loved it that much. Or is it Rose when she's talking to Finn towards the end of the movie and she's just saved Finn's life and she delivers one great sentence about why the rebellion and the resistance will actually win this war against the First Order. It's emotional, it's universal, and it is incredibly true to real life. Star Wars The Last Jedi is playing at your local movie theater right now, and it's getting at least one high five from this guy. Check it out. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what's coming out in theaters for your Christmas weekend. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, The Greatest Showman, Father Figures, Pitch Perfect 3, Downsizing. On Netflix, Bright. There are a plethora of films to enjoy this holiday weekend at the movies. Now, when these films dropped, I was actually surprised at how many films were dropping, because if you remember on last week's episode, we talked about how Star Wars The Last Jedi could just cruise that #1 spot for a few couple weeks. And with the dynamic opening that it had, I'm still not sure that it is going to maintain the #1 position with 100% confidence. Before I saw it twice, I would have said there's no way Star Wars won't be #1 2 weeks in a row. After seeing Star Wars twice, I'm not so certain, because Jumanji could actually be the upset here and could actually take the #1 spot at the box office. It's got a great cast. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It looks like it's going to have some great action and humor blended together, which always goes over well. The Greatest Showman, I don't really see that as being like a big hitter. I see it as making some money. Could range, I would say, this is a big range, but I'd say 30 to 50 million opening weekend would seem fair for the Greatest Showman, with the cast it has, with the advertising and marketing they've been doing, the original score that's going along with it. I think it has a lot of potential, and from what the trailers have shown me, I'm excited to see it. And then the other three, Pitch Perfect 3, Downsizing, and Father Figures, I mean, I'm sure those movies will do fine. I don't see them as being like a blockbuster bust. If I had to put money down on which one I think is actually going to perform the lowest, I would say the wild card here is going to be Downsizing, but it could be Father Figures. But I would put my money, if I had to place a bet, I would put my money on Downsizing actually being the lowest performer this weekend out of these films. And then if you don't want to get out to the movies because you'd rather stay home for the holiday weekend, you can always hit up Netflix and check out Will Smith's new movie, Bright. Maybe you want to check that out. I know I'm still behind. I got to finish up season 2 of Stranger Things. I still have to watch The Punisher, and now Will Smith has a new movie dropping out on Netflix. So a lot of viewing going on, plus all of these films that we just talked about dropping in theaters this week. Thank goodness that I have Movie Pass, so I can go see each one, one a day and not have to pay for it. That's great. But otherwise, we got a lot of great stories hitting theaters that we all might enjoy for one reason or another. So hopefully you guys are excited. If you are, throw it in the comments below and let me know which one piques your interest the most. All right, let's move on to what's dropping on DVD and Blu-ray this week for your home theater. On DVD and Blu-ray this week, Dunkirk, Stronger, and Mother. Now, there's a lot of really positive press about Stronger. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm actually excited to see that. I may check it out on Redbox or rent it. It looks like it's a really great story. It looks like the performances that we get from all of the actors are going to be top notch. Dunkirk, still in my top 10 for the year. I absolutely love seeing Dunkirk. Mother got a lot of mixed reception, so take your chances with that one. I can't speak to it. I didn't see it. Maybe if you know somebody who saw it, ask them before checking it out. I can't, like I said, I can't really speak too much to it because I didn't see it. All right, now it's time for my favorite segment of the show. You guys never know what's going to drop on this segment, but I can guarantee that whatever drops will most definitely be certified rad. Since this is the last episode of 2017, that also means this will be the last Certified Rad segment of 2017. So I went ahead and did a quick list on my notepad here of all of the Certified Rads we've done so far here on season 1 of Brunansky's vlog. So just real quick, I'm just gonna rapid fire kind of the exciting and fun and heartfelt, touching, inspiring, gadget gizmo moments we've shared together this year on Brunansky's vlog. Ready? Here we go. Capitol Records and Clips released their anniversary speakers. A 10-year-old saves his 2-year-old brother's life from drowning. Red Cross donation efforts for Hurricane Harvey. Local hero helps his neighbors escape the flood damage of Hurricane Harvey. Pizza Hut sends free pizzas to Hurricane Harvey families in need. A local restaurant uses a percentage of your food bill to help kids in need get meals at school. Tech gear review for vloggers and selfie enthusiasts. Psychology, philosophy, and self-help books. The Astros won the World Series in Game 7. Selena gets her Hollywood star on the Walk of Fame. Terminally ill child gives his last Christmas wish. Jason Edmond talks about his comic drive for soldiers. A stranger paid for 62 layaway orders at Toys R Us. 2 teenagers save a woman and an apartment complex from a fire. Wow, what a year it has been. 62 layaway orders, Hurricane Harvey relief, the World Series, self-help books, psychology, tech gear reviews, local heroes, children saving each other, teenagers saving adults. What a year it has been on Certified Rad. So this week for Certified Rad, I just want to send out a special Christmas wish to everybody watching this show. Christmas season can be stressful. There's a lot of traffic on the roads. People are driving like maniacs. You got people running all over the shopping malls and all of the department stores and everywhere else you go to get Christmas presents. Everyone's in a hurry. Everyone's rushing around. And then on the weekends, people take those moments to spend time with friends and family. They go do holiday events. But at the end of the day, when you sit down at Christmas and you open those presents, it's not really about those presents that you're opening. It's about spending time with the family and the loved ones that you cherish in your life. 5 years, 10 years from now, when you're thinking back, you're not going to probably remember, you might remember, but you probably won't remember that one toy that you got or that one CD or that one picture or that one gadget or gizmo that you got for Christmas. But what you will remember are the fun stories that you can share with your family about how your grandmother said that weird thing, your uncle did that weird thing, your cousins showed up out of nowhere and they surprised the family. It's those little heartfelt moments when you're actually reaching out and dealing with your family and your loved ones that make the holidays truly something special. So this week, I just want to send out a Christmas wish to all of you guys watching this right now. I hope that you're able to spend time with friends, family, and loved ones and really just surround yourself with the positivity and love of those people that are special to you in your life this holiday season. So from myself and this photo of Austin the dog, we're wishing you and yours a very Merry Christmas, because spending time with loved ones is most definitely Certified Rad. And that wraps up episode 22 of Brunansky's vlog, the season finale. Season 1 has come to a close. 22 episodes this year. We had a lot of fun talking movie news, movie reviews, and more with you guys here on this channel, as well as all of the social media down below. I hope you guys enjoyed the content that we delivered here and all of the news stories and movie reviews that we shared with you on this channel. And I hope that you were able to go back to work or your family or friends or wherever and just kick them some new knowledge that you learned from watching this show here on YouTube. We will see you on Facebook Live right after this for a live stream to talk a little bit more Star Wars spoiler goodness, now that everybody's had an opportunity to get out to see it in the theaters this weekend. So if you haven't seen Star Wars, you may want to just skip that part of Facebook Live, but we will be also talking about the weekend box office report too. So if you have any interest, you may want to just hop over and check that out right after this video. Thank you so much for watching season 1 of Brunansky's vlog here on YouTube. See you all in 2018 to talk movie news, movie reviews, and a little bit more. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.